Creating a scatterplot in Navure. Let's open the Prosopis origins file in the test data repository. This file contains columns labeled D30 through D505. These columns contain the heights of the trees at 30, 60, and so on days from the day they were transplanted to the field. We will start using a scatterplot to explore the relationship between day 30 and day 60. To create this chart, go to the Graphics tab and click on the Scatter button. In the displayed dialog box, select day 30 as the variable to be displayed in the x-axis and day 60 as the variable to be displayed in y-axis. For a reason that is not clear now, select the country in the point labels field at the top of the dialog. Then press the blue arrow play button to proceed. When the scatter plot is displayed, you can see that, as expected, the taller a tree is on day 30, the taller it will be on day 60. However, some trees grew more than others, so instead of a straight line, we see a group of points that describe a growing trend. We can enhance the plot using various options available in the Graph Options group located in the upper right corner of the main application window. These typically include 4 tabs: Options, X-axis, Y-axis, and Series. Depending on the chart type, additional tabs, such as curves and connectors, may also be available. Let's play around with the options in the Curves and Connectors tab. To emphasize the idea of growth, we can add a line describing the trend. To do this, select the Show Smoothing checkbox on the left side of the tab. As you can see, a straight line appears. This line is one of the smooths you can apply. Just below the Show Smoothing checkbox, there is a combo box which displays the label linear. If you click the down arrow to the right of the control, you will find a list of smoothers. Let's try polynomial. By default, it fits a second-order polynomial, but you can change it to a higher-order polynomial by changing the level. You can play with other smoothers. Let's hide the smoother and apply connecting lines by clicking the Show Line checkbox. As you can see, there is a line connecting all the points. This is not meaningful in this particular case, but it illustrates the technique. Several options can be applied to the line, such as brush type, width, and color. Let's hide the connecting lines and play around with some of the more common options. Click the Options tab. In there, we can increase the size of all the fonts in the chart by clicking on the larger capital A in the Font Options group. Similarly, we can decrease the font size by clicking the smaller capital A in the same location. To increase point sizes, go to Series tab and change size in the Series Options group. When you move the mouse over a point, a tooltip is displayed that gives you some information about that point. As we can see, there are points from Chile and Argentina. Here is one of the places where the labels we set in the original dialog are used. Can we change the color of the Chilean points without recreating the scatter plot? The answer is yes. You can add conditional formatings to the plot. In the lower left corner of the chart window, you will find the Conditional Formatting panel. Click on the plus sign and a dialog will appear. In this dialog, you will find all the information about the chart that you can use to construct a filter that will allow you to define the condition to which a new color will be applied. Let's look at the option in the Country tab. A list appears with Argentina and Chile. Let's select Chile. Now go to the top of the dialog and select a color. Choose light green and press the Apply to Selected Series button. We can see the position of the points belonging to the Chilean origin. Now let's display the legends to identify the cases. The legend labels are not meaningful. To change the name of the first case, we need to rename the series to Argentina. To do this, go to the Series panel and click the Edit button. You don't have to select a series, because by default the first series is selected. Otherwise, you have to select the series you want to edit. To change the other label, you need to edit the conditional formatting. Select the appropriate one if there is more than one and press the pencil icon at the top of the conditional formatting panel. Edit the name to Chili and press the Apply button. You can change the color of individual points. When you click one of them, a new tab, named Element, appears in the Graph Options group. If you click on this tab, you will find options to change the color of this element. In this example, we will change the color to red. By default, most charts include a grid. If you want to remove it, go to the Options tab, look for the Grid group and uncheck the Show box. It is also possible to remove the border from the chart by clearing the border checkbox in the Appearance group. Sometimes it is useful to add annotations to the chart. These can be either text or graphical annotations. To add a text annotation, locate the Annotations group, click the Text Annotation button, and drag the mouse over the chart. You will see a plus sign appear as part of the mouse pointer. This indicates that wherever you click on the chart, a text annotation will be inserted. For example, click anywhere. You can edit the content, move and resize the annotation, and remove the connector that connects the insertion point to the annotation. You can also move the entire annotation by dragging the insertion point and pressing the Apply button. To remove an annotation, select the annotation and press the Delete key on your keyboard. The x-axis and the y-axis of this graph are numerical. So, the most important options are related to the minimum and maximum of the axis, the number of ticks, and the number of decimals. There are other options that you can explore yourself, such as inverting the scales, using a logarithmic scale only in y-axis, changing the distribution of numbers in the scales, etc. Now we are going to create a scatterplot that displays more than one variable. For example, to D60 and D120. To do this, go to the Graphics tab and press the Scatter button. In the resulting dialog box, select D120 and add it to the y-axis. D60 and D30 are already set up from the previous run. Now press the blue arrow play button in the upper left corner of the dialog box. Instead of one set of points, now there are two. To help the reader of the graph know which is which, you need to add legends. Go to the Options tab in the Graph Options group, find Legends, and press Show. You can move the legend box to different locations. For example, use the Position pop-up menu to move it to the upper right corner. To edit the legend names, edit the series names. In the Series panel, located to the left of the graph, there is an Edit button there. It applies to each series at a time. Click it and edit the series name. Of course, the y-axis label needs to be edited to say height and specify its measurement unit. To do this, double-click on the label and type in the dialog box that appears the label you like. Another way to have more than one series is to apply partitions. Go back to the Scatterplot dialog by going to the Graphics tab and pressing the Scatter button. Reset the setup and use day 197 on the y-axis and day 90 on the x-axis. Now add country to the partitions list to divide the data set into two groups and get the scatter plot for both. By default, both scatter plots will be displayed as different series on the same chart. In addition, you can add sizes to the points. For example, use the height on day 505. Then click the blue play arrow to continue. This scenario allows us to illustrate the effect of adding a contour by selecting both series, selecting the Curves and Connections tab, and clicking the Show Contour checkbox. By default, a polygon connects the outer points of the scatter plot. You can change the shape of the contour, for example, to prediction ellipses. We invite you to explore all the options that can be applied to a scatter plot in Navure.